Would you believe me if I told you we have 9 kids?
9 kids. People want to know what it's like having 9 kids. And tell them, imagine that you're drowning and someone hands you a baby.
So how did we get 9 kids? And what were the unexpected lessons that we learned along the way?
Our story involves fostering and adoption. It matured me in ways that I did not expect. I think there's a place for everybody to contribute to the care of the orphan. Not everybody should have foster kiddos or adopted kiddos in their home.
Do not do it unless you are called to it.
Yeah, but regardless of whether you have kiddos in your home or not, there's a part for you to play in caring for the orphan.
That's what we're going to chat about today.
I think about Jim Gaffigan, the comedian's bit. He's got this kid, I think it's like 5 kids or something like that at his junkyard. 5 kids, and it was like, I adapt it, for our story. Like 9 kids. People want to know what it's like having 9 kids. And tell them, imagine that you're drowning and someone hands you a baby. I'm like, Jim, you get it. Oh, yeah. Oh my gosh, Jim, you get it. That's exactly what it's like. Like you're totally overwhelming. Yeah, people find it pretty crazy to hear that we have 9 kids and that we have, 9 grandbabies and a 10th on the way right now. They're like, you gotta be kidding me.
I'm like so excited because next month I'm gonna go and meet this new grandbaby and don't know yet if it's a boy or a girl.
Yeah, it's pretty nutsy. And it gets even nutsier. And they're like, how old is your oldest kid? Because they're trying to do the math. And they're trying to figure out what's going on. Like, well, our oldest is 33. And our youngest is 11. Yeah. And they're like, you can see like the little bubble above their head and they're trying to do the math.
People are often like, oh, so you have a blended, like these are your husband's kids, is what they say to me.
There's one question that's consistent. Like after we give them that, we have 9 kids and they like eyes get big, 9 kids, holy smokes. And like, how old are they? And we tell them the age range on that. Reliably, the next question is,
how old are you?
How old are you? They're like, it's just the math isn't adding up. And, like, oh, well, we've got good skin cream and whatnot. It's a joke. But really, we're not old enough to have 9 kids biologically.
At least not at the ages that they are.
Yeah, not at 33 as our oldest. But our story involves fostering and adoption. And we were young kids when we first felt led to foster. Yeah. And we fostered kiddos for about a decade, a little over 10 years. Had around 40 or so kiddos that we had in our home and loved on. Some for a few days, some became permanent parts of the family. Mm-hmm. It's interesting because like you and I, when we got married, and we got married pretty young, but we talked about, do we want to have kids? Yeah. And we wanted to have kids.
Yeah, because I had known that was always a calling from God on my heart.
Yeah. And we talked about adoption, would we ever want to adopt kids? And neither of us had strong feelings.
Yeah. We're like, I guess.
We're like, well, whatever
the Lord told us to do, we'd do it.
Yeah, whatever the Lord wanted us to do, we're here for it. But we didn't have any adoption story or any foster story. Nobody that I knew in that. So it wasn't particularly on our radar, but we knew that God's heart for the orphan and that was something that was close to the heart of God, so we wanted it to be close to our heart. And we were over having dinner with one of our friends from Bible college, And they had this adorable Punky.
That's her nickname.
That's her nickname.
I can see her little face in my mind.
Adorable little, I don't know, how old was she? Less
9 months.
9 months? Yeah, something like that. And she's sitting up at the table in a little bumbo or something like that while we're having dinner. And just the cutest little thing. And we're hearing their story about how they went through foster care classes, and this was their kind of first placement that they had, and telling us that journey. And it was just good dinner, good spaghetti dinner, and had a good time. And as we got home that night, back to our place, we didn't have any kids yet. We were newly married, so early.
We'd probably been married 6 months by that point.
Yeah, it was so real early into our marriage. And it just really felt like, as I was turning off the lights in the house that night, that the Lord spoke to me and was like, you have these empty beds here, and there are kids that don't have a safe place to sleep tonight. What are you going to do about that? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, what are you saying, Lord? Like, what am I going to do about it? You're the Lord. You're the King. You tell me. What am I supposed to do about that? And as we talked with Cassie about it, shared it, we just felt like we were supposed to take the foster care classes and be willing to care for kiddos. We still weren't thinking adoption or anything of that nature. I was in grad school full time and working full time, and you were pregnant at that juncture.
No, I was in my undergrad.
You were finishing undergrad,
and we were not pregnant because we had a plan that I could only get pregnant at a certain time.
That's right.
And then I was going to graduate. So we couldn't get pregnant before that time. But in my mind, this was like an opportunity to play house, like to kind of fulfill that mom dream. But in the meantime, before I had the responsibility full time to have a child of my own and make sure I was doing all the things. And, I say that like vulnerably because that was such I just didn't understand the whole picture and the framework and all the things, but I wanted to be a mom, and I thought, well, I can love on these kids. I can do that during this season of undergrad before we have a family of our own. And so I think I just share that in vulnerability because the Lord still used that. Like, he doesn't need me to be perfectly mature. And in fact, he really used that journey to mature me in such a unique way. But he just meets us wherever we are. I'm like, it'll be great. And he's like, absolutely. Come here, friend.
Yeah, you think back on it, it's pretty nutsy. Like, we were just kids ourselves. We were really young, but we were just willing. And the system is so overburdened. Like, there's so many kids in care and that need a safe place to be. And the system doesn't have the resources to be able to do it. And so I'm sure that some of the caseworkers and the folks were like, my goodness, these kids have no idea what they're getting themselves into. And we certainly didn't.
No, we didn't even, when we started taking the classes, we didn't even qualify yet to be a host family because we hadn't been married a year.
Right. Yeah. And so, and those rules were in place for good reason.
Yeah.
But we just are obedient when the Lord puts something in our heart to do it. And so he equips whom he calls and gives us what we need to do, what it is he asks us to do. So we brought our loaves and fishes. And we're like, okay, you want to use us in this way? Then we'll give you what we got. And the Lord began putting kiddos with us, all different ages, all different stories and backgrounds. And we loved on them and took them to church with us and just, made them part of our family for as long as they were staying with us. And, we really found ourselves niching or taking in a lot of teenagers, which was odd because we were so
It was
young.
odd.
There was such a small age gap really between us and these teenagers, but nobody wanted to take them in. The statistics around kiddos that are 12 or older, them being placed in a home or being adopted, is staggering. That most teenagers that come into care spend the rest of their childhood in a group home, and then they kind of get turned out on the street when they age out of the system. And so, and then a large percentage of teen homelessness are kids that were in care and then kind of age out of the system. And so we had, as time went along, we had young kids of our own, and teenagers were able to bathe themselves and make themselves a sandwich, get themselves on the school bus.
Yep.
And so it just was, when we had littles that needed so much direct care,
Yeah.
having teenagers that could, do a level of care for themselves was super helpful. And so the county would bring us teenagers. And, a lot of teenagers don't want to be in care. Like oftentimes by the time they come into care, they have been in neglected environments for a very long time.
Yeah, they've been taking care of themselves.
Yeah, they've been
in a
taking
very meaningful
themselves,
way.
oftentimes taking care of younger siblings. And so they're very parentified in a way. They feel like, I got this.
Yeah.
Like, I don't need you parents. I don't need the system. I need to just be left alone, and I'll keep managing myself like I have all these years. And so we would just be like, hey, listen, we don't have any control over whether you're in care or not. We don't have a say in that. But if you would rather be in a home with a room and a fridge and go to normal school instead of being in a group home with, a dozen other girls that you're kind of sharing communal space with, then we got a home for you that you can stay in, and we'll be as much or as little family to you as you want for as little or as long as you need. You control that dynamic. We'll just be whatever kind of relationship you want us to be. And that's the kind of the talk that we would have with kiddos. And in the course of a decade, we had 5 of them ask us if we would be their parents. And I joke and say I'm glad that 10 didn't ask us, because then we'd have, 14 kids instead of 9. Because what are you going to say when God puts a kid in your home and that kiddo asks you if you'll be their parents? Like, you say, yes, we love them. And maybe that's not what everybody should do, but for us, we felt like we were supposed to be as much family to them as they wanted, as long as they wanted. That was what God was asking us to commit to each kid that came into our home. And so when they asked to be a part of the family, and it was not a hard decision, we didn't have to spend a lot of time praying about it in advance. We already knew that's what we were supposed to do if we were asked. So we said yes. And so we end up with 5 teenage daughters. The youngest was 12 when she came to live with us. Yep. I think the oldest was 17 or 19. Some of that. And not when she first came into our life, but at the point that she asked us to be her parents, she was 19. Yeah. And along the way, we had 4 bio kiddos that were in the mix. And our bio kiddos had never known a time when they didn't have older adopted siblings. So it's just been a very sweet thing for our kids to get to see the ministry of our home and see how we care for the orphan and how we, have open hearts towards those that God brings along, and hospitality in our home, and for them to witness that with their own eyes and experience it, not just as concepts taught from the Bible, but ones that we've lived out. And man, the journey of it's hard. Like, I got gray in this beard here for early in age from each of the kiddos. We thought I tell them like this patch is for you, and this one is this sibling, and this is here. But it matured me as a person and as a dad and as a husband in ways that I did not expect to get out of the process.
Mm-hmm.
Like the Lord used it to conform me into his image, to sanctify me, to help me mature as a human in a way that made my life better, made my ministry better, made my marriage better. And my kids, my bio kiddos, are surprisingly, it surprised me, the hidden gift for them in all this. Not only did they get to see us loving on their older siblings in that journey and be a part of that, but I'm a better dad with my bio kiddos because of the hard things that we grew through with our foster and adoptive kiddos. And I didn't, certainly no way I could have known that or guessed that on the front end.
Yeah. I'm sure the heck way less scared of teenage years, having already seen the ups and downs of teenage years. I'm like, oh, yeah, this is messy and painful. But I know on the other side of the hard things what I'm gonna get, which is all those seeds sown back.
Yeah. And we have seen some things. And so, our bio kiddos teenage years and whatnot are really not
so far
not so intimidating.
Yeah. Not so intimidating.
Like, yeah, we're not scared. we had some scars and some learning and some history. It's there. But we really advocate for folks to, in the body of Christ, to participate and be a part of foster care. That was a really important season of our family and our life. And, when we started having adopted kiddos, have kiddos, and we had grand kiddos from our adopted kids, and our bio kiddos were getting to age where they had more need, we felt like that season of having kiddos in our home was coming to a close. And so we closed our license and, no longer have foster kiddos in our home. We continue to have our grand kiddos and our, all sorts of friends of our kids and the community. And
we still have a very open door policy here.
Yeah, we still have open hearts and open doors and have a lot of kids that are not our biological kids in our house every single week. Mm-hmm. But that season came to a close. But I think there's a place for everybody to contribute to the care of the orphan. Not everybody should have foster kiddos or adopted kiddos in their home.
Do not do it unless you are called to it.
Yeah, we do. We're strong advocates on both sides of this.
Yes.
That is, we strongly think you should not have kids in your home unless the Lord is asking you to do that, and be obedient to the Lord and have kiddos in your home if he is asking you to do it. But regardless of whether you have kiddos in your home or not, there's a part for you to play in caring for the orphan. That for every family that has kiddos in their home, they need support.
Oh, yeah.
Like it is really challenging ministry and work to do. And it's work that's there all the time. It's not like ministry work where you go and work at the church or work in community, and then you come home. When you come home, it's in your home.
That's where it is.
And so it's there all the time that you're navigating it.
I literally would not have survived the journey without friends along the way to support me in the journey, to be able to share my own struggles, my own weaknesses, my own overwhelm, my own challenges, and to be able to have them sit with me and be like, that makes so much sense.
Yeah.
How can I help you? How can I support you? What would be good? Hey, you're going to be okay.
Yeah.
This is one season. Like all these pieces, both other foster and adoptive parents,
Mm-hmm.
that was extremely meaningful.
Yes.
But also just other people that were friends outside of that circle. And we had so many friends that would be like, hey, let me take your girls for the weekend so you guys can get away. And those are just special. Like I feel myself tearing up thinking of, people that did that for us, thinking of Amy who would take our girls and love on our girls.
Yeah.
And, it was a big deal. And it was actually a necessity
Mm-hmm.
for me to be able to keep doing the work God called me to do.
Yes. Yeah. The family of God is able to come around families that are doing orphan care ministry of this sort, whether that's adoption, whether that's fostering these places, and able to provide respite where they help take kiddos, have an overnight, have space, giving the foster parents or adoptive parents some breathing room and space to care for their own marriage and to be able to have some time back from the front lines to recuperate. There's need for diapers and for clothing
Yes,
and
very
for
practical
meals
needs.
and for transportation. Like kiddos in care have lots of meetings that they have to go to and that are part of their story. And when you've got more than one or you've got bio kiddos and like there's so much taxiing that has to happen, and being willing to volunteer to help taxi and kiddos around to different things, like all of these supports are tremendously important and helpful and wrapping around a family that is having kiddos in their home. And so I really believe strongly that the orphan is close to the heart of God, and that when we care for the heart of God, we care for orphans, and that we incur God's blessing and favor. We felt it and experienced it in our life, just a special grace from the Lord, I think, because of our saying yes to that, and that there's a role for everybody to play, whether it's having kiddos in your home or supporting those who do. It's really important and it really matters. And we're just thankful for the people that supported us during that season. And we're thankful for the way God blessed us through that. And we love our kiddos. We love each of the kiddos that God gifted us to have for a short season and those that have become permanent parts of our family. We love them. And yeah, the ministry gets to continue on as we get to be their parents through different seasons of life, which is another thing, just maybe a last thing I would say, is that sometimes folks think, with teenagers in particular, they're like, hey, they're going to be grown-ups, soon, so what's kind of the point? And it's like, dude, do you know how much you needed parents after you turned 18?
Gosh, right.
Like, where do you go for Thanksgiving, and who helped you figure out buying your first car, and who helped you, know how to prep for interviews,
And who did you get to celebrate with? Like, not just for hard tactical things, but like somebody that really sees them and can celebrate all their wins.
Yeah, and dating and relationship and marriage and having kids and being a new mom or being a new dad. Like, we need family way beyond when we're a minor and living at home. And so it's such a privilege for us, even in the limits of what we have to offer and being finite like we are. One of the griefs that I think I have is I wish I was infinite, and meaning that I wish I could give in many, many ways to all of our kids, as well as other kids in the community and other ministry opportunities. And it's painful to me to only have so much to offer and give.
Yeah.
But
like sometimes I think that can accidentally hold us back from giving what we can offer.
Yep. You can only give what you have to offer, but you can give what you have to offer. And you should talk to the Lord about it, because He knows how He wants to use you in His kingdom and how to allocate your time in a way that's highest blessing to you and your family into the kingdom.
Yeah.
And so
He does pretty good things with loaves and fishes.
he does amazing things with loaves and fishes. That's a good word.